Hey guys, it is Mike from Baltimore Rides here. I am wrapping up Monday night, February 5th. Slow night. I did not get out on the road until about 3:45 though. So, a little bit of a late start. I finally got my mom into the assisted living facility where she's going to be for a while. And it just took longer than I thought. A lot of paperwork, just the process. That's all. Everything went smooth. She seems happy. She had a good first night, but it took forever to fill out all the paperwork. So by the time I left there, it was mid 3 o'clock, 3:30ish, and I knew I wasn't going to go to DC with that kind of a time frame. So I worked, Baltimore basically, and not a bad night. I'm not disappointed. It's not my number. It's, I only did 120. Which is not a great number by any stretch of the imagination. But for a Monday with a little bit of a late start, I'm not disappointed. I'm not satisfied, but I'm not disappointed. A lot of Uber Eats rides tonight, some of them with some actually big surge too, which is rare. I typically don't see Uber Eats with surge. Only a little bit of Lyft traffic, and I think, depressing as it is, I think I only got one or two peak hour trips between that whole 6 to 8 window, which is super frustrating because sometimes Lyft just rocks and rolls during peak hour, and sometimes it's like dragging your teeth through mud. I mean, it just feels like you're not moving at all. That expression made no sense, by the way. I'm just going to say that. But, lately, weekday peak hours with Lyft have been slow. Now, I'm not in DC, and that's probably part of the problem. But, I have definitely seen Baltimore rush hour traffic worse than what I've seen this past, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So, I can only, cry the blues and throw the winter excuse out on the field so many times before I sound like a broken record. But I don't really have anything else to offer as a viable explanation as to why, it's tricky. So that being said, that's where we are for tonight. I've started my recordings for the tax video. I'm doing them in pieces only because I've got notes on what I want to cover, but it's using the screenshot recorder, which is different than using this kind of a camera recorder, where I can flip back and forth and show you different things. It's a lot of opening different apps. The QuickBook app, going to my Google Images or my image drive, where I've got screenshots of all my 1099 saved with, redacted lines through like my social and things like that. And it's a lot of jumping back and forth. So I'm doing it in pieces, and then I'm just going to splice them all together. Hopefully, because they're all being recorded on the Mobizen app, the frame rate and audio rate will all be in sync and it won't sound like garbage. But it's really the only way I can present this material to you that makes sense. So, fingers crossed. I'm going to finish that in the morning, hopefully. I'm using my own taxes as an example. The numbers are visible, but I've blocked off all my, my personal information. So you guys, you can't like stalk me or whatever. Not that you would, but, you put this shit out on the internet and, there's somebody's going to like, oh, I can screenshot his tax returns and get his social and then identity theft him. So like I've blocked out that stuff. With a photo editor so that, you can't see my social security number or whatever. But, that's that. So it's taken a little bit longer to produce the video than I thought. These videos, I just talk while I'm driving, and 15, 20 minutes later, I'm done rambling. But this is more of a specific, deliberate video where I have specific things I have to cover. It has to be presented in a somewhat sane fashion. And that means it's a little bit more of a, staged production, I guess. So, taking some time. But I want to have it up and ready ASAP because, really with February 1st, you guys can start filing, and I don't want you guys to get this video after you've already done your taxes and then go back and go like, oh, I wish I knew that. So that's the plan, Stan. We're getting there. But, other than that, my weekend was great. Not at all work-related, productive, weekend. I really took, some time to breathe. I worked a little bit yesterday with the Super Bowl, made about $100 in a very, limited amount of time. But really, once the game had started, I felt like everybody was planted where they were going to be for the game. And I didn't stay out late because I knew I had to be up early this morning to deal with my mom. So I kind of drove during an awkward period. I drove from like 6 to, like 9. It was like 5 to 9. So I got a little bit of the traffic of people moving around before the game started, but then really once the game started, it kind of died off. So, that being said, I needed to recharge my batteries, and I did. I feel like $1 million compared to the way I'd felt, the weeks leading up to today. So, that's the advantage, is that you get your mind so wrapped up in paying your bills, making money, hitting goals, hitting quests, whatever, that my other sponsor, Canada Dry, I love ginger ale, you get so caught up in those things, especially if you're like a borderline workaholic like I am, that you neglect, important stuff. Spending time with the kids, spending time at home, sleep, just, sanity, that kind of stuff. And that's the reality, is that, I've got to learn to take a day off every week. I don't know how easy that is for me to accomplish, but I've got to learn to do it. My monthly budget is very specific and very spelled out, and I basically need to make $850 something every week to pay all my bills. And what I've done is I basically take all my bills and I just divide them by 4 weeks. Now, I know every fourth month in the year is a 5-week month, but whatever. That'll be like gravy months, those months, because you'll make extra money that you didn't really need, that you can use to pay down bills or debt, whatever. But, like my Sprint bill is $220 a month, so $240 a month. So divided by 4, it's $60 every week I need to put aside towards Sprint, so that on the 25th, when my payment cycle rotates, I have it. My BG&E bill is roughly $170 a month, so divide by 4, and whatever you get, $42 or whatever it is. So that's how you bite size it, so that when your bills come due, you're not freaking out that, oh my God, it's the 25th, all of my bills cycle for the third weekend or the third week of the month, and then I've got rent the following week, and that's $1,200. So if I know I put $320, whatever it is, $330 aside every week towards rent, then I have the $1,200 I need for rent every week, every month. So, and honestly, I use a silly kid Chore app, because there's all these like pay your bills apps and reminder apps, but I didn't like the flexibility in any of them. I didn't like the way you manipulated them. Some of them you couldn't set for recurring, you couldn't set it for specific day recurring. Like, it was very peculiar how they rigged it. And so I played with the whole idea of chore apps, because they're things you do every week, and then you can click it and dismiss it for that week, but then it still pops back up the following week, and you don't have to do anything to reactivate. So it's less clicks for me to keep it, the system running. So that's just, not being the most organized person in terms of long-term thinking. Something like that is a great tool for me to use to balance my budget. Every week I have specific amounts, and literally now that, oh, by the way, now that Uber allows you to cash out, they finally fixed that. They've 100% severed their ties with Exchange Leasing, which renamed itself like Fine or Frog or something weird, some F word, not that F word. Fair, something like that. But the minute they finally solidified the tie separation, which I think happened on like January 30th, they sent out all these messages and bombarded us, and one of the messages said you can now do cash out, which I can. I've done it a couple times. So now what I can do is I can pull cash out at the end of every day for both Uber and Lyft, and then as I make the numbers I need, you know, like tonight's Monday, I've done $120. I'll go in and I'll pick 2 of them, and I'll end those 2 chores, like Comcast and Sprint, maybe, whatever, you know, whatever 2 they total up to. And then tomorrow when I start my day, I can look at the numbers I need to make and say, okay, now I need to make, you know, $150, whatever, and I'll pick out the next ones that add up to whatever I actually make. And it's a neat way to kind of, you know, chip your way towards the end of the week. And I've been experimenting with it for a little bit of time, but because I'm kind of behind on some bills, it's not easy to get this system really, really up and running while you're also playing catch up on stuff. And, you know, I live paycheck to paycheck like most people. You know, I support a family of 4. My wife doesn't work, so it's not always easy. But, and I know you guys have financial issues of your own. I'm not saying you don't. Everybody's circumstances are different, but I'm pretty sure the vast majority of Americans struggle with finances right now. But I'm going to wrap it up. I've been rambling. I will have that tax video up and running soon, so just bear with me, and you know, and we'll get it going. I promise you I'll have it up, if not tomorrow, then the very next day, because I need you guys to see it before you really start doing your taxes, so you know what to get, what you're gonna need, like a materials list of all the things you need before you even start. And then I want you to know my thought process so that you can approach it with the same attack strategy I did. So that's it. Everybody have a great night. Tuesday's going to be a good day, so I have a strong feeling that tomorrow's going to be a good day. So, you know, good luck to everybody out there tomorrow. Everybody be safe on the roads. I know they're kind of skanky. The roads have been slippery and icy, and, you know, the temperature's been quirky. It's been super cold, you know, but damp and kind of yucky weather. So just be careful about ice, guys. Maryland is an ice state. We like to get a lot of black ice and a lot of slippery patches. Just be safe, okay? Be safe out there. I don't want any of you guys getting hurt on me, okay? And I will see you guys tomorrow.